All right, if everyone can make their way to their seats, we're going to go ahead and begin our brief presentation so that you can continue to visit the learning stations and talk with staff. All right, good evening everyone, and welcome to the Space Coast Transportation Planning Organization's 2025 Open House, Investing in Tomorrow's Transportation Together. Thank you for joining us tonight. We know your time is very valuable. My name is 𝗙𝗵𝗴𝗶𝘀𝗃, and I'm the Public Information and Outreach Manager for the Space Coast TPO. And before we get started, I'd just like to go over a few items so you know how to participate in tonight's event. First, just a few housekeeping items. For those in person here, restrooms are located down the hall near the entrance of the building. Please silence all cell phones during the presentation just so that we can make sure we can hear all the great information being shared tonight. And please hold all comments for the formal public comment period after the presentation. When you first signed in, if you are interested in making a public comment here tonight, you can fill out a speaker card. If you haven't done that yet, or you want to wait until after the, later in the presentation, you can visit Zoe, who's out by the registration desk, and she can give you one to fill out. Additionally, we'd like to take a moment to recognize our advisory committee and governing board members that are joining us here tonight. If you are a CAC, TAC, BPAC, TDLCB, or governing board member, please raise your hand and give a little wave. We appreciate you. Thank you for being here and for your ongoing support and leadership. Okay, so tonight we have attendees, obviously here in the room, with us, and we also have some online joining us virtually by watching via YouTube Live. So at this time, we're going to review the public comment process that will occur after the presentation because some of your questions might be answered during the presentation. As a reminder, the Space Coast TPO adheres to Title VI policy, which means all public comments are solicited without regard to race, color, national origin, age, sex, religion, disability, or family status. Please hold all comments again for the formal public comment period, which we will announce at the end here. In-person attendees, as I already mentioned, you can fill out a speaker card. If you're viewing online and you wish to make a public comment regarding tonight's open house, our draft 2026 list of project priorities, which we're going to talk a little bit about here in a minute, or the draft 2026-2030 Transportation Improvement Program, attendees can submit their comments in the chat or email them to me afterward or during at 𝗙𝗵𝗴𝗶𝗀𝗃@sctpo.com. You can label it in this format here that's on the screen here. Although we won't read every remark that's in the live chat here tonight, as it may not be productive for our program, we will definitely make sure to summarize any overlapping questions, concerns, comments. All applicable will be read aloud during the public comment portion of the program. We already have a few that we'll be reading tonight. And then lastly, public comments are limited to 3 minutes each. We'll have a timer to count you down if you are commenting tonight. And this time frame will be adhered to so that we can hear from all of our citizens that wish to make a public comment. At the end of the program, we're going to take comments first from our in-person attendees, and then we'll answer any public comments that are submitted through YouTube Live tonight. So should you have any other comments or questions after the program, please know our staff is extremely accessible. We're going to be here afterwards at our learning stations. We'll chat with you one-on-one if you have specific concerns. Sometimes that's just easier if it's something super specific. And also if you're joining us virtually and you can't see us here in person tonight, you can find all of our contact information is very readily available on our website by visiting SCTPO.com. Okay. Now to the fun stuff. To kick us off for the night, we're going to watch a quick video to highlight why we're here.
The Space Coast is growing. We're reaching for the stars. But how do we get around on the ground? The Space Coast Transportation Planning Organization is planning now to meet our transportation needs of tomorrow. From roads and rails and ports to trails, we're looking at how we can invest in regional mobility, safety, and resiliency to keep us moving while also keeping us connected. Whether you're running errands, going to work, or planning your weekend, what kind of transportation options would help you get to your destinations? Autonomous shuttles, improved bike lanes, passenger rail? You have the power to shape the future of transportation. Visit SCTPO.com or follow us on social media to get involved. Let's advance transportation together.
Great, so that's really what it's all about tonight. And so now it's my pleasure to introduce our Executive Director of the Space Coast TPO, Georgiana Gillette. Throughout her 30 years of experience in the transportation industry, Ms. 𝗿𝗏 has established professional relationships with transportation leaders throughout the region and state. In her role, Ms. 𝗿𝗏 oversees regional transportation planning for 16 municipalities and the county and has the unique opportunity to collaborate with 5 transportation modes here on the Space Coast: highways, airports, rail, a seaport, a spaceport. As Executive Director, Ms. 𝗿𝗏 is dedicated to developing master plans that are meaningful, implementable, and cutting edge. She passionately strives to develop and foster regional multimodal transportation projects that improve quality of life and economic development. With over $1 billion programmed for transportation projects over the next 5 years, the TPO's vision comes to life and our future is interconnected at all levels. Please join me in welcoming Georgiana to the podium.
Thank you, Abby, and welcome to the Space Coast TPO's annual open house. We very much appreciate you spending a little bit of time with us this evening. So our organization may not be familiar to some of you, but who is the Space Coast TPO? We are the federally mandated metropolitan planning organization for Brevard. What that means is we plan and prioritize transportation projects with federal and state funding. Collaboration is key to this process. We work with the Florida Department of Transportation, our local governments, our modal agencies to make sure that regional planning with a shared vision for the future. There are 19 members on the TPO governing board, which include all elected officials, including 5 county commissioners, a port commissioner, and 13 city council members that represent the entire county. And this is done to ensure that our elected officials have a say in what is happening in their community. Why is that important? Because they are closest to the people, and that's important to us. We continually monitor the conditions of our transportation system. We have an extensive traffic database, and we keep track of congestion, crashes, and trends in all modes. So why are we here? Tell us what matters to you. The role of our citizens in transportation planning cannot be overstated. What do you envision for Brevard, and what are your top priorities? So we encourage you to ask questions. You can ask hard questions. That's okay too. Ask questions about transportation planning and funding, the funding process, because funding really is the key to kind of moving these projects forward. We have a variety of stations here and activities to take part in. We do face challenges. One issue is that we do not have enough federal, state, and local funding to meet our transportation demand. Gas taxes, which is a user fee, are the main source of funding for highway projects. And when you fill up, a portion of that money gets deposited into the state's Transportation Trust Fund. And that is utilized by the Florida Department of Transportation for transportation improvements. They make transportation happen. The state tax is adjusted for inflation, but the federal gas tax has not been raised since 1993. On the local level, Brevard County and Orange County are the only 2 counties in the 9-county Central Florida region that have not leveraged any of their local option gas tax. Local option taxes are added to an area's tax base for local infrastructure. So the funding does not go into the Transportation Trust Fund, but it can be used for local infrastructure, which is important. We're selling less gas per vehicle due to increasing fuel efficiency and electric vehicles. Electric vehicles don't pay any gas tax. So the business model is really not sustainable. There is a problem with relying on fuel tax as the primary source of transportation revenue. The cost of maintaining and building roads and bridges have shot up between 30% and 50%, so we have to deal with that. We've also seen an increase in job growth and population. I think you all know that. There are more than 1,000 people moving to Florida daily We have a record number of visitors, and this results in an increase in demand on our transportation system. Yes, more people are paying the gas tax, even our visitors, but it puts a heck of a lot of demand on our transportation system. So more resources need to be brought into the picture. So at this point, let me back up here. I fast forwarded a little much. On the other side of the coin, we do have some exciting opportunities with advancement of new technology and innovations. You know, Florida's transportation system is continually being impacted by changing technology and emerging business practices. We have connected and autonomous vehicles, autonomous micro shuttles in various Central Florida locations to support the first and last mile connections. Ride-sharing platforms and micro-mobility are really transforming how and where people move. And we often talk about how to improve our roads, but how do we utilize our roads better? Having a 21st century traffic management center will allow you to squeeze more capacity, improve operations, and improve safety on the fly in real time. And it integrates all of our intelligent transportation systems to control and monitor signals using all the technologies available. And this is happening right now through a partnership with Brevard County and the Florida Department of Transportation. The new traffic management center will be constructed later this year off the Pineda Causeway. So this, and of course I have to mention the passenger rail, the opportunity for us to have the COCO multimodal station and passenger rail here in Brevard County will really create that thriving intermodal hub that will connect all of our modes of transportation. So yes, we have challenges, but we also have some very exciting opportunities. So at this point, I'd like to turn it over and let Sarah talk about the long-range plan.
All right. Good morning. Oh, excuse me. Good evening. I think you took my script, Georgiana. I apologize. I could have winged it, but then I said good morning and decided maybe I shouldn't. So good evening. I'm Sarah Crom. I'm the Senior Transportation Planner with the 𝗿𝗲𝗄𝗃. So there are many steps and hurdles that transportation projects go through to go from plans to pavement. One of those processes includes identifying transportation needs and securing funding to implement those projects. This starts with our long-range transportation plan. So what is a long-range transportation plan? A long-range transportation plan is a federally required document that forecasts the travel demand models and transportation needs along the Space Coast. It looks into the future, identifies what transportation projects are needed for our community, and prioritizes those projects. It also develops a budget, which is called a cost-feasible plan. In order for projects to receive certain state or federal funding, they must be within a long-range transportation plan, cost-feasible plan. So we are currently developing Advanced 2050, our latest long-range transportation plan. Some of you may have joined us for our workshops last summer on our long-range transportation plan. So we go through many steps to provide not only for citizen input, but for community organizations and municipalities and other partners to get involved. We start by setting our goals and objectives that help plan the document. We then meet with our local municipalities, organizations, modal partners, economic drivers to hear what their transportation needs are. Next, we then go out to the public and we want to hear from our citizens on what their transportation needs are. So that happened through a series of workshops last summer. All of these transportation needs are identified, prioritized, and then we actually try to look at what we can get funded via a cost-feasible plan, which is currently the step we're at. So the Advanced 2050 is being developed to implement the vision of providing a safe, multimodal, innovative, and resilient transportation system for all users. We are doing this through following several goals. to provide a safe and secure multimodal system for all users, improve economic growth and overall quality of life with connected and accessible multimodal system, enhance mobility and reliability of the transportation system for communities, tourism, and commerce, and to preserve and provide a sustainable and resilient transportation system through balancing social and environmental resources. These goals help shape the priorities and direction of our long-range transportation plan. So what needs to be in a long-range transportation plan? It needs to not only identify the transportation needs, as I've discussed already, but also consider the transportation revenues through 2050. We then take the needs, prioritize based on those goals, and match the priority projects up to the projected funding. We're really trying to build a budget for the next 25 years using a crystal ball as in regards to revenue forecasts. Projects must be fiscally constrained to when the resources are actually available. The same way your household must live within a projected budget, we also have to look at what is our projected budget. So while it is projected that over the 25 years we'll have $370 million in federal funds, we can only budget for closer to $90 million within a 5-year period. This can cause delays in project implementation, especially when we're looking at larger projects such as the widening of 𝗿𝗏𝗾𝗏 that Georgiana will discuss a little later in the presentation. Another critical issue with the development of the cost feasible is facing rising costs, decreases in state funding, and increases in the transportation needs. This leaves us with an estimated 91% of all transportation needs within our Advanced 2050 Long-Range Transportation Plan will remain unfunded. So how can you get involved and have your voice heard in the development of Advanced 2050 Long-Range Transportation Plan? We will be presenting the draft cost feasible to our governing board on July 10th. Then it will go into a public comment period from July 14th to August 28th. You can also today engage with the projects and orbit boards that Nick is standing over by, which features the projects that will be presented as the draft cost feasible to our governing board in July. Now to shift gears and move forward on our bridge to project implementation, we're going to look at our list of project priorities. So municipalities can request that projects within the long-range transportation plan get queued up for funding via the list of project priorities. We use this as a tool to communicate to FDOT what projects we are currently seeking funding for. So where do these projects come from? Public interest and input through the any kind of public involvement activities such as tonight, local partner plans such as comprehensive plans, projects identified via Space Coast TPO studies, and also the robust master plan program that we have looking at safety, complete streets, bicycle pedestrian trails, intelligent transportation systems, and resiliency. So projects for the list of project priorities are submitted by our local partners, such as the cities and the county, only when they want to pursue state or federal funding. If a project is going to be paid for via local funds, it does not need to be put on the list of project priorities or long-range transportation plan. Projects that are submitted are prioritized based on readiness, performance and outcome-driven quantitative scoring, such as that's based in safety, transportation land use, resiliency and sustainability, innovation, and multi-mobility. Once these projects are prioritized for funding, they still can take 15 to 20 years to complete, as there are many phases in for a transportation project. Sometimes it needs to start in a planning phase of actually identifying what are the needs of this project. Next, it'll go into an environmental phase, such as it's called a PD&E, or Project Development and Environmental, and that really looks at more in-depth and more details of a potential widening or new alignment of a roadway. Next a project would need to be actually designed. So that's when engineers actually design what is the roadway or trail or sidewalk or other transportation project is going to look like. And sometimes projects also require right-of-way. Specifically, very large widenings are going to need to purchase additional land to fit the roadway. Finally, after potentially 10 to 15 years, your project will actually go to construction. And that then, as we all know, can also continue to take some time and be 2 to 3 years. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Georgiana to move into funding the future.
Right, thank you, Sarah. Funding the future. So what is the Transportation Improvement Program? It serves as our short-range plan, and it lists projects by phase that have been funded with state and federal funding over the next 5 fiscal years, and that's fiscal year 26 through 30. It gives life to our vision, and the TPO's vision aims to create a transportation system that is safe, multimodal, innovative, and resilient for everyone. And back to our planning bridge here, this is the role that the Transportation Improvement Program plays in implementation. The FDOT funds projects based on available revenue. When we turn the priority list over to them, they fund the projects on available revenue, generally in the new 5th year. And the TPO's Transportation Improvement Program will always be consistent and mirrors the DOT's work program. So our Transportation Improvement Program includes 112 projects totaling $1.3 billion. Florida has estimated for every dollar invested in the work program, it yields an average of $4.26 of personal and business benefits. And this is a graph with all the different categories with funding in the program: highway widenings and bridge replacement, maintenance or preservation of the system, technology, and all the different modes of transportation that we have here in Brevard County. We call it multimodal, everything from transit to the spaceport program. And as you can see, I want to point out the spaceport program is reflecting $630 million. Florida has designated space as a mode of transportation, which may surprise some of you. And that happened many years ago. The DOT's Spaceport Improvement Program is a statewide program with dedicated funding, but it does not take away from local projects and funding. And so the Spaceport Improvement Program projects are directly responsible for 5,000 plus jobs and brought in nearly $2 billion in industry investment. So all of these projects in the Transportation Improvement Program, they're real money on real projects that improve our economic development, safety, and quality of life here in Brevard County. So now let's really kind of dig into the top 10 projects in orbit, as we like to call it. And I'll start out with the Strategic Intermodal System, which is our high priority transportation projects of statewide significance. The Ellis Road 4-laning from John Rhodes Boulevard to Wickham has been a long-standing priority for the TPO, and we're happy to say, finally, thanks to all of our stakeholders, that the project is fully funded. And this is a major bottleneck in our thriving international airport in Melbourne. We anticipate the early pre-construction activities, which is the clearing and grubbing, will begin after July. And construction is fully funded in fiscal year 25-26. So after the clearing and grubbing, which you will see something happening out there very soon, it will be moving into full construction right after that. This has been a long-standing project, and a lot of planning work has been completed so that we could be ready as a county and prepared for when Brightline announced that they were ready to be a partner with the City of Cocoa. The City of Cocoa submitted the Federal State Partnership Grant for intercity passenger rail in December of last year for $47 million. That's the funding shortfall for the new inline station and double tracking to the west. Collectively, we have a very strong funding package to match the grant, which is $31.8 million match, and that's local, private, and federal funds. So we're excited about this. We were hoping to hear something in April But with the new administration, a lot of the feedback on these grants has been delayed, so we are awaiting notification on that. So speaking of providing reliable connections, the State Road 401 bridge at Port Canaveral involves replacing the bascule bridges over the barge canal with a high-level fixed span that will tie down at the 528 interchange. This bridge provides access to national defense facilities, spaceport, cruise terminals. The weight limit and insufficient capacity are problematic. And so the design phase is underway, but the construction is unfunded at $260 million. State Road 528 6-laning is another project within the vicinity, east of Industry all the way to the 401 bridge. Right-of-way acquisition is underway. It's fully funded, and that will be taking place over the next 5 years. However, the construction phase is unfunded. And so, you know, these projects combined are $1 billion, almost $1 billion all told. So that is a lot of money. In Brevard County, I-95 is over 72 miles long, 19 interchanges, and is one of the oldest facilities in the county. Freight traffic on I-95 accounts for roughly 15.6% of all traffic in Brevard County. So FDOT is in the very early stages of a project development and environmental study for the 8-laning of I-95. It just seems like yesterday we were 6-laning it. But there are sections of 95 that are under stress, and they are close to capacity. The project is partially funded, and again, this is the very early stage. The DOT is looking at the interchanges, specifically at Malabar Road and O'Galley. There are some serious safety issues there. So they're looking at long-term and short-term solutions to try and get something happening sooner rather than later. So now let's move to our regionally significant projects that are on the state roads. And we'll start out with State Road 524, 4-laning, from South Friday Road to Industry. This project is needed for travel demand and to improve traffic flow. There are higher than average crash rates and operational improvements are needed at intersections, as well as bicycle and pedestrian improvements. The design phase has been awarded, and this was a funding partnership between the City of Cocoa and the Space Coast TPO. Collectively, we funded the design phase. Right-of-way and construction are unfunded. There's not a huge amount of right-of-way that's needed in comparison to many of our other projects, but this is a high priority state road project. The Clear Lake Road 4-laning from Michigan Avenue to Industry will be a 4-lane divided roadway with a 22-foot median with accommodation for bicycle lanes and sidewalks on both sides. FDOT is currently updating the PD&E study and the design phase to bring everything up to current standards. The design phase has been on the shelf for 5 years, and so it needs to be updated. Right-of-way will be the next necessary phase to move this project forward. So moving to the north part of the county, a corridor study for South Street, that's State Road 405, is underway to determine the need and potential impact of widening the road from 2 to 4 lanes. It will consider future land use and growth in the area, and the next phase will be the big PD&E, or the project development and environmental phase, when funding becomes available. The A1A multimodal improvements in Cape Canaveral are crucial projects that promote pedestrian and bicycle safety and manage speed for the community. So this is not a widening project. This is more of a complete street project for safety. It includes curb and gutter with a median, along with a realignment of the intersection at International Drive. The intersection realignment is fully funded in fiscal year 27. However, the right-of-way and construction are still needed for the larger curb and gutter project that goes from George King Boulevard all the way to International Drive. And so now let's move off the state highway system and talk about two of our highest priorities on our priority list. The first one is Malabar Road, 4-laning, from the St. John's Heritage Parkway to Minton. The purpose is to provide that additional capacity improvements and to address the current corridor and intersection safety issues. There are a lot of safety concerns on this corridor. The project will also enhance the St. John's Heritage Parkway access at some point. The PD&E study is wrapping up. The City of Palm Bay and the TPO partnered together to fund the design phase. So that is the next phase that will be moving forward very soon. Construction, the construction estimate that came out of the design is up to $160 million. It includes utility relocation, which is also very expensive. So this is a very expensive project, and it is anticipated that the project will most likely move forward in segments because no one has $160 million. So to advance a portion of the project forward, it will be most likely designed in segments and then move forward that way. But it is a project that is very much needed. And then that brings us to Babcock Street, and this is all the way from the south part from Micco, Deer Run Road, all the way up to Malabar. This is a 4-laning project that is in discussions with the city, and we've been having a lot of meetings with the city and Brevard County. It will be going through a PD&E reevaluation due to the age of the study. It's been sitting for a while, and a small portion of it will move forward to design. And so the design phase for the whole segment is $19 million, and the reason why it has not moved forward is because there was not $19 million to program the design phase. So this is a new strategy to really cut up the project and try to move it forward the best way we can with the most congested portion, starting with that portion and then working your way to the south. The city and the county has been working together on funding individual intersection improvements as well, which will be important in the short term. And so that is our top 10 surface transportation projects in the 3 categories that I discussed. We have a lot more projects on our priority list. That's just a sampling of the big ones. But we're all working hard collectively to look at all funding opportunities. Our draft fiscal year 26 through 30 transportation improvement program and our list of project priorities are open for public comment between May 23rd and June 20th. The documents are online at www.sctpo.com. And please visit the learning stations, fill out a feedback form, and you can also leave public responses in the comment portals by June 20th as well. So at this point, I will turn it over to Sarah and to bring us home.
All right, thank you, Georgiana. So at this point in the program, we will be taking public comments. As you know, we have attendees in the room, as well as also there are people attending virtually via YouTube. So we will provide both in-person and virtual comments. I do have 4 comment cards, but if you are still filling your comment card out or would like to fill one out, you may fill it out and bring it to Zoe in the back, and she'll be sure to get it to me. As a reminder, the SpaceCoast TPO adheres to Title VI policy. Public comments are solicited without without regard to race, color, national origin, age, sex, religion, disability, or family status. In-person attendees, as I mentioned, may fill out a speaker card. Viewing online, and you wish to submit a public comment regarding the open house, draft list of project priorities, or draft transportation improvement program, you may submit in the chat or via email prior to the event or afterwards to 𝗙𝗲𝗴𝗶𝗀𝗶@sctpo.com. Please label it as public comment and include your name, email, and phone number. All applicable public comments submitted virtually will be read aloud during the public comment portion of the program. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes, and this time will be adhered to in order to ensure that we hear all submitted comments. You may also find the slides that were presented today on our website. All right, we will first take our public comment cards in person. I then have 2 virtual submitted, and then we'll see if any more get submitted either in person or virtually. So, I apologize if I mispronounce your name. My first comment I have is Jeremy Reiterman. And so, Jeremy, if you would like to come to our microphone right here, and we'll give you your 3 minutes. Thank you.
So thank you for all the effort that you've put into planning it. I live in Palm Bay. I would like, obviously, my city to be prioritized. I have taken the Malabar exit and almost been in an accident because of the long queuing that is required. So please prioritize safety. And thanks for doing the Ellis, because I take that road to get to work. So, and I don't know, it's exciting for all the things that you guys have planned. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jeremy. All right, I then would like to invite Jonathan, I believe this is Hawkins. Jonathan Hawkins.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jonathan Harkins, and I would like to bring up some concerns for the transportation project priorities as both someone studying urban planning and someone who has been a lifetime Brevard resident. While the COCO multimodal passenger rail, I believe, is well placed in terms of priority, I believe the other projects represent an unsustainable pattern of growth, both economically, but also in quality of life for Brevard residents. Simply put, personal automobiles are an incredibly inefficient means of transportation as a whole that will necessitate endless road expansion to maintain. This has been well demonstrated and understood in urban centers across the nation, such as Los Angeles, where traffic merely expands to road capacity as personal car usage becomes more attractive. It has been shown time and time again the only way to effectively reduce traffic is to have alternatives to personal automobiles. While I have seen and appreciate the pedestrian initiatives in the document, they come nowhere near the scale and interconnectivity required for them to represent a legitimate, attractive alternative to personal automobiles. I believe this area is long overdue for a full revitalization of bus and pedestrian infrastructure as a first step to address transit needs. I understand that this represents a break from how transit has been implemented in this area historically. However, I must say that when planning for the future, you cannot continue the same behavior and expect different results. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. Next I have Jill. I don't have a last name. Jill. Thank you.
Thank you for all that you've done here, but what I would like to say is many of us would like to see a traffic light at 524 and Friday Road, but my biggest question is, if we have all these electric vehicles out there and they're paying no road tax, that needs to be changed because they have to pay when they go and charge up at these electric stations out in these areas. That's my concern. They're not paying their share.
Thank you, Jill. I have Miss Pat Weeks.
Hello, and I do want to say thank you to everybody for doing this. My concern is also on 524. The 524 widening project ends at the West Friday Road and does not go all the way to where it intersects 520. And at Adamson and 524, which is the road to the dump, which has also got a lot of new construction out there, you cannot see coming out of Adamson Road to make the left onto 524. Accidents are increasing there. We've had so many of them, and even coming out of Adamson Creek, the neighborhood, because of all the traffic and the dump trucks on that road. So if there's anything that can be done so that you can see to make that left-hand turn. And also, I also advocate for the light at Lost Lakes, which is Friday Road. There's also new development going in on all those corners there. And I don't know why they would stop the 4-laning at Friday Road and not take it all the way out and fix that Adamson Road interchange as well, because there's another new development that's going to go in right at the intersection of Adamson and 524. The property just to the south is up for sale, so that will also all get developed. So there's definitely going to be a lot of traffic. So, I mean, you're already doing it to Friday Road. Why not take it the rest of the way, in my opinion? Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I have a Rob Allen. All right, thank you, Mr. Allen.
Hi, and thank you very much again for the opportunity to come in. I'm part of a group of folks from Barefoot Bay. For those of you that don't know where Barefoot Bay is, we're kind of like the ugly stepchildren in southern Brevard County. We have one road, Micco Road. It's a single-lane road. It's the only east-west corridor in the southern part of Brevard County. We recognize that a majority of people that live in Brevard County don't live in the south part of our state. Regardless, we pay taxes, and we also deal with traffic. Our community is split by Micco Road. Approximately a third of our community lives south of Micco Road, and 2/3 approximately north of Micco Road. Everybody that's south of Micco Road, unfortunately for them, have to cross Micco Road to get to any of our amenities, the golf course, the pickleball courts, etc. 2 nights ago, there was an injury accident on Micco Road. Golf cart was crossing Micco Road in approved location. Car turned right into him, T-boned him. He was in the hospital. He's been out of the hospital. He's actually back in the hospital now. So our concern is naturally not having our community split. It's split already, but split by a 4-lane road, that really won't be acceptable to our community. Right now, we have a new community planning on being built, Ashton Park, quote unquote, the Vieira of the South. We love progress. We recognize that southern Brevard is one of the few locations where there's still plenty of land and opportunity. Our concern is St. John's Heritage Parkway. At this point, it dead ends at I-95, but this particular development would like it to cross south, cross across Micco Road, run through the middle of their community of approximately 7,500 new homes, and then approximately a half-mile west of Barefoot Bay, they dump St. John's Heritage Parkway onto Micco Road. Now, that's not an official plan. That's their design. That's their promotional piece to sell their community. Well, we don't like it, and we need to be involved early and often with the development of St. John's Heritage Parkway in this community to make sure that traffic moves south of Barefoot Bay and not directly onto Micco Road. I've got 10 seconds left. I want to thank everybody from Barefoot Bay that coming out today. I really appreciate that. And again, we look forward to talking to you next year.
Thank you. All right, my Next one is Carol Martinez with Lost Lakes Community. Take your time. Oh,
It's okay. I can talk pretty loud. Anyway, I am concerned, we are concerned about the 524 and where Friday Road is right now. The BP station that is right there now is going to be enlarged to become a truck stop. And we are very concerned about having a traffic light also in that area. We have 350 homes of people of 55 and older, and we need to be able to get in and out of there. Also, by the way, I don't know if anybody from Lost Lakes noticed, but they brought the digger in today behind BP. Anyway, that was just an announcement. Anyway, so we talked to the city of Cocoa, and they told us that we are not far enough away from the traffic light that's already there to have another one put up. So hopefully, maybe with this interchange coming and we can widening the road, we can add a traffic light. That's it.
thank you. Zoe, do I have any other cards at this time? All right, I am going to read aloud the 2 virtual public comments we received prior to the meeting. And, oh, thank you, Abby. And then follow up with Abby to see if we have anything from YouTube. So from a 𝗿𝗲𝗴𝗶𝘀𝗃 Jr., what is the plan, if any, to extend either Lake Andrew Drive or Stadium Parkway South to either connect with Washingtonia Drive or the Heritage Parkway? I almost just changed slides. The second one is, hello Space Coast TPO, this is Sharon Stewart, a 50-plus-year-old resident of Brevard, and my goal of future transportation is for it to be environmentally safe. I volunteer to restore, promote, and build healthy habitats for wildlife. This helps me to learn how to be a good steward of our beautiful community. Naturally, I expect for our transportation system to do its best to make our roadways safe and healthy for every being. In Suntree along Wickham Road, there are dainty sulfur butterflies enjoying the roadside weeds, carpetweed and chickweed. On our lagoon that runs beside US 1 and A1A and 520, among the palms and marsh grasses there are fish, dragonflies, and slithering creatures that rely on clean water to thrive. Then there are our beaches of the Atlantic, where everything that goes on the roads and ground pours into. Building roads and construction are inevitable. It is time to be aware of the ecological damage we do to our environment and make future projects that protect, promote, and restore the wildlife and fauna that keeps our community healthy and beautiful. Less mowing and more native fauna plantings, stormwater runoff, solutions and improvements, and innovative sustainable materials that preserve our natural resources used for road construction are some projects that we need to see a great more of throughout Brevard. Thank you for this opportunity to comment on investing in tomorrow's transportation together and hopefully consideration on helping our voiceless nature. Abby, do I have any public comments via YouTube? All right. Jump through. All right, so as we've previously mentioned, the Space Coast TPO is currently soliciting public comments on the draft fiscal year 2026 list of project priorities and the draft fiscal year 2026 to 2030 transportation improvement program. As a reminder, the list of project priorities outlines which transportation projects, like roadway improvements, new sidewalk, bike paths, are next in line for funding. The Transportation Improvement Program lists all transportation projects set to receive state or federal funding over the next 5 years. We would encourage public citizens to review and provide comments now through June 20th. You can also learn more by visiting the Get With the Program Learning Station, which is located right over there. speaking of learning stations, we have many activities in the room here tonight. The room will be open until 7 o'clock, where you can learn more about the transportation planning process, chat more with staff, and you also have a planning passport that if you would like to visit each station and get a stamp with. So at Design Your Road, you can share your ideas on how limited space on our roadway should be used and improved. Get with the program. You can get to know our transportation improvement program and list of project priorities. At our safety zone, you can discuss safety concerns, pick up educational materials, and provide input on countermeasures. Funding the future, learn more about the funding sources and constraints that go into our long-range transportation plan. And go from plans to program, learn more about the steps to construct a transportation project through a fun hands-on activity. So to stay up to date on the latest transportation planning trending topics and other events that we have, we would like to encourage you to follow us on social media, sign up for our newsletter, and visit our website at sctpo.com. And with that, I'd like to thank you for attending this evening and encourage you to continue to engage with our staff. Thank you.